Hey everybody, this is Matthew Cook. This is episode 82 on the Tactical Dad podcast. Today I am going to regurgitate, basically, not word for word, but regurgitate a podcast we did with my firearms instructor, Tim Owens from OSS Tactical, a couple of episodes ago, where we discuss what gun should you buy? Like, what is the right gun? Choosing the right gun. So this reaches out to mostly new gun owners, people that are looking to get into this industry for self-defense, home defense, self-protection. Like that's really who we're targeting here, because people who own guns or have been around the industry for a while, they know they know this question, they know the answer. So new gun owners, Tim and I, well, today I'm just regurgitating what we talked about. I'm going to share with you what an expert, Tim Owens, who was a Green Beret, he was a Special Forces officer, he was a trained sniper, he's trained militaries, he's trained police departments, he's got a wealth of knowledge, and he tells us about some of the things we should consider and look at when purchasing our first gun, or when we're considering choosing a new gun. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Choosing the right gun. I don't know why how to buy a gun is in my head, but choosing the right gun, choosing the right firearm. And Tim mentioned lots of great considerations. One main one that I didn't even factor in at all. Didn't come into my mind at all, and I'm not sure why, because it seems totally logical. But hey, you know, when you've got two little kids running around, you do have a brain fart sometimes. So, things to consider when choosing the right gun is, we're all human beings, right? We are not all the same human being. We're all different heights, shapes, sizes, thoughts, feelings, and so just to name a few, we're very different. And so all of us have different physical limitations. We're all different in stature, and obviously one of the things, a physical attribute, is our hand size. You know, what are your hands like? What's the size of them? And do you have arthritis in one of your fingers, or your hand as a whole? Like, there's a physical element to consider it as a physical element of consideration when buying a new gun. And there are small guns, medium guns, and big guns. Now there's compact, there's full size, to name a couple. So hand size has to match. Like some 7-foot dude, 6.5, 7-foot dude with massive hands probably isn't going to hold a compact 9mm very well. It's probably not going to go down very well. So got to consider the physical element to this. Next one to consider, the next thing to consider when choosing the right gun is, how much training are you going to do? Me personally, I want to become a competitive shooter. I want to shoot rifle, shotgun, pistol. I want to be very, very well trained and versed in tactical shooting. And what also looks fun is long range precision rifle shooting, so sniper shooting basically. That looks really cool. So I want to become very competent, which is why I'm training every week. So I'm training all the time. How much training are you going to do? Because that's a large part of this. Because if you're not going to do much training, and you're not going to get much experience handling a weapon, loading it, reloading it, racking it, maneuvering it, and more importantly, this is the big thing, more importantly, if you're not going to become proficient and confident in malfunction clearance drills, because your gun's going to if you buy a semi-automatic pistol, no matter what you buy, it's going to malfunction in some way at some point, small or large, because there's different ways it can malfunction. So you're going to have to learn and get comfortable, like, automatically doing a malfunction clearance, some sort of procedure. And it was only now, not, was it last week? Was it? Yeah, it was. All right, so last week, early last week, where my 9mm malfunctioned, and it just automatically came out of me. I just, without even thinking, I just tapped I smacked the bottom, racked it, and it cleared it. So tap and rack is usually like the most common thing that'll clear it, but without thinking. Now, if you're in a gunfight, someone's breaking into your house or something, there's a threat, there's some sort of threat, you don't have much time to really think. You need to have these skills somewhat automatic. So if you're not going to train enough to achieve that, then you should consider a revolver, because you just pull the trigger again. If nothing happens, if there's no banging a bullet, then just go again. You don't have to do anything. Versus a semi-automatic where there's some form of trying to clear their malfunction. So that was the number one take from that podcast, is you should really consider, for home defense, self-defense, a revolver. And the downside to that is it doesn't carry as many rounds. I think is it 8 rounds? Don't quote me on that, but either way, I know there's probably modifications and stuff you can do to a revolver where it carries more than normal rounds. However, a semi-automatic is going to carry more rounds than a revolver in most cases, because I know someone's going to take that out of context, as everyone seems to be doing on TikTok and YouTube shorts lately. But a semi-automatic is going to carry more rounds, especially like if you have a double stack. You can get like 16, 18, 20 round magazines for a pistol, whereas a revolver is never carrying that much. So that's the downside. That's what actually makes me a little fearful to ever having a revolver, is there's just not enough rounds. That's why now my preference for home defense and what's prepared upstairs in the safe is my rifle, magazines, and my whole setup to quickly accessing my rifle and ammunition, because a rifle carries, the magazines that are ready to go in my rifle are 30 round magazines, so I can miss quite a bunch and I'm still probably going to hit some sort of target to put that threat down. So my fear is, with this particular thing, my fear with a revolver is that there's not enough rounds. However, there's no point having a semi-automatic pistol with, let's say, you've got 16 rounds and you have a malfunction and you've no idea what to do to clear it, because then you just got, as Tim would say directly, you just have a paperweight. Then what you're going to throw it at the person? Like, you're screwed. You may as well have a revolver, so you just pull the trigger again. At least you got possibly 8 chances of putting the threat down, rather than it just becoming a paperweight. So there's a trade-off, and you really got to consider what the purpose and the intentions of owning the firearm are, and just make sure that your behaviors and habits line up with that. Like, it's no good saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna start training and practicing with it. Like, do you have time in the schedule to do that or not? Like, is it a priority within your schedule? Because I have range time and practice time like highlighted. Oh, this is for the video. Highlighted on my schedule. I know when I'm doing it. It's in there. It's locked in. Me and my wife know what the deal is. When she's gonna practice, when I'm gonna practice. So, like, it's a done deal. Whereas if you're not going to put the effort like that in, you're likely to not do it at all, or once a month, or now and again every few months you go practice. That's not enough. You want to consider a revolver. Other things to consider, that's the biggest one really, but other things to consider are like the caliber, so set the size. You're probably going to want to somewhat go with a 9mm. Are you physically able to manipulate the weapon? If you're going to go with, for example, let's just say you chose a revolver, then you want to hold a few and try a few to see if you're comfortable holding the weight of that revolver, because there's different sizes and weights. Every manufacturer is a little different. You've got to hold it, move it around, and see how it feels like that. Or if you're choosing the semi-automatic, do the same thing. But it's something to consider, because you're going to have to learn to manipulate and maneuver the weapon. So they're the basics of what you should consider when you choose your new gun. And if you can, I'm going to link obviously this podcast in the video, so you can go listen to it on iTunes or Spotify when you're not able to watch the video. But I'm also going to link the podcast that me and Tim did, the audio, which is on iTunes and Spotify, into the video description excuse me, as well, because even if you don't tend to listen to podcasts, I think you will benefit from listening to that one, just hearing what Tim says and the extra little things he adds to it, rather than just me. But those are the things to consider when choosing the right gun. Hope you got something out of this. I hope I provided some value. Thanks for joining me. See you again next time. Have a great day.